And good morning, everybody. Welcome, Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. How are you, my friend?
I am good. What's going on, dude? You ready for Game 5 tonight?
I am ready for Game 5. Quick question for you, though. If you were the Dallas Mavericks, would you be willing to trade the number one pick for Giannis Antetokounmpo?
Probably. I mean, Cooper flag for Giannis, basically. I mean, isn't that what we're talking about at this juncture?
We are, but we got to make some salaries match up too.
Yeah, you're right. I'll tell you one thing. The Giannis stuff yesterday was intriguing to me because you always apply it to the team that you are closest to, right? It's like, well,
Right.
what would the Nuggets look like with Giannis? And then you start thinking about, well, any player would look good with Nikola Jokic, and
Right.
Nikola Jokic would probably look pretty good with Giannis, but you start to get ahead of yourself and realize, well, wait a minute, this is the Nuggets we're talking about, and they are in a difficult situation enough with their salary structure and the second apron and all of these things that conspire to rid us of the possibility of a Giannis coming to Denver. But so it goes. Yeah.
All right. Hey, real quick, before we get this thing rolling, I want to let you know about big auction going on tomorrow for Roller Auction. Tomorrow, there's a City of Aurora impounded vehicles auction featuring cars, trucks, SUVs, 4x4s, trailers, and more. Bidding is started at rollerauction.com. And don't forget to go to rollerauction.com to learn about upcoming auctions. Get what you want at the price you want today at Roller Auction. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Smokin' Dave's Barbecue. It is not just the best barbecue in town, it is one of the best restaurants in town. You can find Smokin' Dave's Barbecue off 36th and Pecos.
Looking at the last three games, two of them losses. Jokic, 21 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 turnovers. Is OKC Jokic's kryptonite? And what can he or the coaching staff do to make it easier?
Well, it starts with trying to get him to his spots on the floor. And you got to do it by hell or high water, right? And sometimes that means increased screening and moving away from the ball. Of course, the ball is usually in his hands, but you got to find some space for him to be comfortable because he hasn't shot the three-point ball very well. Got a couple in the last game. But he's basically shooting 33%. In fact, Eric, I was sitting yesterday thinking, when have we seen a 3-game stretch for Nikola Jokic as bad as this 3-game stretch has been in a relative sense? And you just rolled the numbers out. He's still averaging a double-double, but he's not been effective. And the answer is never. I went back and looked. I mean, I think that you would probably have to go back to year one, maybe, to find 3 so inconsistent of games or consistent games. That's what's even worse. It's been consistently bad. I don't know. They're going to have to continue to do things. Look, if you're making shots where the ball gets to, that will loosen up Nikola Jokic. When you're shooting 31% like you did in Game 4, you are basically giving them carte blanche to defend Jokic in any way that they see fit. When you get balls at the elbow or balls in the corner and you're getting good-looking shots and you're not knocking them down, why would you worry about it, right? Then you send 2.5 guys against Jokic every time he comes down the floor. So it's a lot about what the Nuggets have got to do around Nikola Jokic to spring him free tonight.
When you have a superstar player like Jokic, I think you have one of two options defensively. Okay. Let him beat you single-handedly.
Yep.
And then with the other guys, force them to beat you, or shut down those 4 players on the floor and, let Jokic beat you. Jokic beat him in Game 1.
Yeah.
Right? Jokic beat him in Game 1. But when you look at the Nuggets bench, when you look at the amount of minutes these guys have played, when you look into maybe Jokic is still a little bit injured, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the choice is looking at the Nuggets bench, shut down Jokic, throw 3 bodies at him, and force Brown to beat him. Brown hasn't been a world beater in this series, right?
No.
PJ has been beyond hit or miss, more miss. Aaron Gordon has had quite a series. And then you have Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook, who does not have a history of hitting jump shots. I would take my chances, let the other guys beat you. And so far, with shutting down Jokic, or at least limiting him, that's one big reason why, along with fatigue for all the starters, it's a confluence of things that have come together that have put the Nuggets in this situation. Even though the series is tied at 2, it is still a winnable series.
You know, you bring up a good point, and it's kind of interesting because Oklahoma City really hasn't had – look, and you're right. This is all under the umbrella of a 2-2 series. So we keep that in mind when we're having this conversation. But defensively, what Oklahoma City has been able to do is to concentrate on Jokic, especially in the last 3 games, without really having to. Now, obviously, Michael Porter Jr. had a huge impact last Friday night in game 3, right? I mean, a huge impact. And if he is going, if he has that kind of impact, that changes everything for the way that Oklahoma City has got to cover, right? If you're talking about a guy that can knock down 8 of 10 from 3, and that normally doesn't happen. There's a reason guys' best percentages from 3-point range are about 40, 41, 42%. You don't knock down that many shots, but he's the kind of guy as a streaky shooter that can do that. Hasn't done it much in the postseason, but he did it in game 3, which allowed them to basically win a basketball game. But to your point, they've kind of been able to live on both edges defensively. They've kind of taken away most of what the other guys can do, because we haven't even talked about Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray has not been much of, if any kind of factor yet. He'll knock down a shot every now and then. He gets his rhythm going sometimes late in games. But in terms of winning a game for you, we just haven't seen it yet. So they've been able to kind of bake their cake and eat it too, right? They've been able to defend Jokic, really make things challenging for him, and do just enough on the other guys to create poor shooting efforts and make it more difficult for the Nuggets to win a game.
In the 2 losses so far, Jamal Murray has hit 33% from the field for 17 points in the game on Sunday.
Yeah.
In game 2, hit 44% of his shots for 14 points. Where's Jamal Murray been as well? Now, granted, Oklahoma City is a terrific perimeter defensive team, but we knew that was going to be the case. That's why Aaron Gordon is so valuable, bringing the ball up the floor, because every time Jamal Murray touches the ball on his own end, he's facing pressure trying to get the ball up the floor. So for the Nuggets right now, either Jamal Murray needs to catch fire, or you need very good games from Westbrook and MPJ.
Yeah. They got to be careful about it. And David Adelman talked about this after game 4, about the dependence on the 2-man game. And it's an easy thing to fall back on, right? Because Jokic and Murray have such demonstrated ability in the postseason. They have proven it. They have been great. They have been very difficult to cover in the pick and roll. But if you're not hitting shots and around them, then you're putting so much on those 2 guys. And when you're only talking about 2 guys that you've really got to concentrate on defensively for Oklahoma City, if they can really contest the pick and roll, it makes the Nuggets a little too one-dimensional offensively. And as Adelman said, you put so much on the plates of those 2 guys that you wear them down. And right, Jokic is playing 43 minutes and Murray's playing 44 minutes. So there is a rate of attrition that's going on right now for the Nuggets. There's no question about it.
Okay, real quick, because then I want to do a follow-up. You and I are both, I would like to think, unbiased. I kind of call it the way I see it. It's not that I don't cheer for the home team, meaning the Nuggets. I want them to win. It makes my job more fun, makes it a lot easier, but I'll just call it the way I see it. Is it fair to say that Oklahoma City is mugging Jokic pretty much every time he touches the ball? And yes, you could call a foul every play in the NBA, but he's kind of getting beaten up a little bit. Is that fair to say? And there probably should be more calls in his favor. Is that fair to say?
More than fair to say. Almost.
Is it also fair to say that SGA is very good at drawing fouls or phantom fouls, and he's getting a lot of those calls as well? Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
This is where, and this is what's so ironic, this is where the Nuggets desperately need Michael Malone. Now, I don't think the Nuggets are playing tonight if Michael Malone is the head coach. Okay. I don't think they make it out of the first round. What they need tonight, what they needed yesterday, what they needed on Sunday was David Adelman, an interim head coach, saying, these refs are screwing us. Jokic is getting mugged. He's getting triple teamed, beaten up. No one's calling anything on SGA. I understand he's the presumptive MVP. And if you want to fine me, $25,000, go for it. But we're not watching the same game. That's something Michael Malone would say.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
has hinted and tap danced around it. I don't always believe that when a coach rips the refs, something will change the next game, but at least you've planted a seed. We saw it in the Avs Stars series when Jared Bednar complained about the refs.
Sure.
Got more calls. When DeBoer complained about the refs, the Stars seemed to get more calls, more favorable calls. Adelman needs to say something. I'm just wondering if it's not his personality, or the refs will look at him and say, dude, why don't you get hired full-time before you start popping off?
Or don't go 10 of 25 in plays around the rim, right? Or points in the low paint.
Listen, Bruce, I am not suggesting that the refs are the reason why.
I know you're not. No.
The series is tied at 2.
Right.
But I think it is a fair statement to say that the calls on the two superstars have been more than a little lopsided. Also, Jokic does have a bit of LeBron in him. Mm-hmm. He complains about everything. He had that problem early on in his career. I think it was no more than 2-3 years ago. He was complaining so much. You're like, Nikola, just keep your head in the game, please. He seems to be an easy guy to throw off his game because, you know, he's complaining. It's like professional wrestling. You know, remember when you watched it growing up, or for all I know, maybe you watch it now. You have a guy in the ring complaining to the referee, and then then his opponent comes off the top rope and slams him and slams his face into the mat, right?
Sure.
You see that in professional wrestling all the time. We have Jokic complaining all the time.
Do you think that Jokic, I think a lot of his frustration is he's in a place he's just not used to being in. When we look at his game right now, things that you just automatically assume are going in are suddenly clanging off the side of the rim or hitting the heel and bounding away, or he just doesn't look confident in his shot. I think a lot of it is just self-frustration. Yep. As much as anything at this point, which is unique for Jokic to be in that kind of position. It will be interesting to see because, look, they are double-digit underdogs on the road in a very difficult place to play. They have had relative success there. You give them credit where it's due. They've got 2 games won there this year. 2 of the 7 games that Oklahoma City has lost have been at home, have come courtesy of the Denver Nuggets. And it's 2-2 in this series. You've got some things to build on. However, I just don't see a path without Nikola Jokic being closer to the game one Nikola Jokic than in games 2, 3, and 4. And Eric, even with game one, he's still only averaging like 5 assists a game in this series. He's not moving the offense and creating offense away from him in this series. And that's a lot to put on one guy, but that's what we have become accustomed to.
Well, let me ask you,
from
all
Nikola
the
Jokic.
shots have been missed. Have they been open looks or highly contested looks in general?
I think that Oklahoma City contests a lot, just basically everything. I mean, you've already mentioned, I think they're the best perimeter defensive team in the league. They extend and they finish and they close out from 3-point range. They're so quick in recovery. I give credit where I think it's due. I think Oklahoma City's just a damn good defensive basketball team.
And again, and this is something that we have talked about throughout this series, Oklahoma City can go 10 deep.
Yeah.
So if they want to throw 2-3 guys at Nikola Jokic and bang them up and hope that they don't get called for a foul, that's good strategy.
Yeah.
Because it's outside of SGA and maybe one of those big guys, whether it's Hartenstein or the other big guy, Holmgren, you can afford to have guys have fouls.
Yeah.
You can just bring in a guy right off your bench who's going to give you some production. Nuggets don't have that luxury.
Think about it. They've got 4 guys they're rolling constantly at Nikola Jokic because Caruso has been a little gnat in the ointment, right?
Yeah.
And Lou Dort is physical enough that over short periods or in switches, that he can do a good job as well.
Thick.
He is
He's
thick.
He's kind of like James Harden. James Harden isn't overly tall, but he's taller than me. And Lou Dort isn't overly tall, but they're thick.
Yeah.
So you can't, it's harder to back down guys like that who have big old, as they say in football, bubble butts.
Yeah. Well, and they get help from big guys when you start to, if you try to back down the smaller player. And remember where Jokic plays. Jokic plays away from the basket. Jokic doesn't play on the block. He plays on the top of the key. So you can defend him with smaller guys 16, 17, 20 feet away from the basket and you can get help from the big guys around the rim. Oklahoma City's it's in one way, it's kind of remarkable that the Nuggets are in this thing tied at 2 with a really good opportunity that slipped by the wayside to go up 3-1 in this series. Because when you look at the players in this series and you look at what has to happen for the Nuggets to beat a team like Oklahoma City, it's a great thing for them to be 2-2 in this series. It really is. I mean, I commend the Nuggets and David Adelman for being in this position. More power to them. They've figured out a way to kind of unlock this box for Oklahoma City. But I think it's going to be really tough tonight to win in that building. It's going to be amped. And I think that Oklahoma City will play extremely well. And I wonder, and I'm a little concerned about how much gas is in the tank now with the Nuggets. I think it's a fair concern.
Okay, so Nuggets win, Thunder blowout. Pick what you like.
I'm going to go Thunder win. I'm going to go Thunder win.
So they win. So what is the spread for a guy who doesn't gamble?
It's 10.5.
The spread. What is it?
It's 10.5.
Taking the under. Because
late cover by Oklahoma City. I'll go late cover by Oklahoma City. But I think that Oklahoma City's in charge in this game. But you know, I mean, I can't just dismiss the effect of Nikola Jokic. And I know it's been 3 straight games, and I know that there's a trend that's been established, but he also has game 1. He has that. And you know, can he raise the level of his game tonight to keep this team afloat in a situation where, oh my God, if it's competitive into the fourth quarter, it'll be pretty darned interesting. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on that one, but I'll say it's a late cover by Oklahoma City.
Coming up after the break, Christmas is going to be a little extra special this year, unless you're Bruce Haertl going to Kansas City, being away from your family. That's next. Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you gotta try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a Ford Bronco Raptor or nearly $30,000 in cash the weekend of May 23rd. Get finalist entries from 10 a.m. until midnight during their daily cash drawings every 45 minutes or by redeeming player points. And all daily cash drawings that don't get picked are eligible for a second chance drawing on Wednesdays, and that can turn into extra cash. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Spice up your next night out at Nola Jane and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
And welcome back. Hot Takes with Goodman and Haertl. If you are planning on watching the Nuggets game tonight, maybe you want to sit and watch it at home. Highly recommend you go to Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew and just have a big old barbecue feast. So many great things on the menu. I'll give you one thing that you should start off with. I mean, most people, you like onion rings. Are you an onion ring fan? You might not be a fan of deep fried food, but every once in a while, you like your onion rings.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
These things are like bike tires. They're huge. And they are so stinking good, and they are absolutely cooked perfectly. Here's something that you would like, because I know that you are a vegetarian. They have a wild salmon Reuben, something that I've had before. It is topped with sauerkraut and Swiss cheese, great tartar sauce. It's an outstanding thing to have. That's something that you ordinarily would not see on the menu at a barbecue place. They have a smoked corned beef Reuben, something that I love as well. If you got the sliders, you can have all different types of meats, varied, whether it's brisket or pulled pork, chicken, whatever it is. So many great things there. I say about Smokin' Dave's all the time. It is not just the best barbecue spot in town, and it is. Just trust me on this. They're one of the best restaurants in town, period. Go check it out, and you will see what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, everybody has their favorite barbecue spot. Go to mine, and I can promise you it'll become yours. They're right off of 36th and Pecos. Time now for What's Trending.
What's trending on Hot Takes with Goodman and Haertl? Brought to you by Mile High Sports.
The official schedule comes out tomorrow for all of the NFL teams. NFL slow rolling their schedule right now. All of the games are out for the games that are overseas. We know that the Broncos are going to be playing the Jets in England. The Broncos will be the away team for that game. It was announced yesterday. The Broncos are going to play the Chiefs in Kansas City on Christmas night. To me, this is now starting to feel something that you have never felt before, Bruce, covering this team. You got here after the Super Bowl.
Right.
You've been here for some lean years.
Yep.
I got here in 2004. This is starting to feel back to normal.
Good.
This is what Broncos country feels like. We are on national television. We are in the playoffs. We have winning records. We have hope. And the national networks are noticing. Being the primetime game on Christmas is a very big deal.
Yeah, no question. Exciting. That'll be Arrowhead is always great, regardless. But it'll be totally amped on Christmas night. Who knows that late in the season how important a game that might be in the AFC West or the AFC in general. I'm sure that game will have playoff implications in some shape or fashion. So there's a lot to look forward to. And Sean told us this the other day, that last Saturday, when we were out there for the rookies, saying, look, this is what you play for. You play for being in meaningful games, in national games. You want to be in that spotlight, and this franchise and this team, and he talked about, hey, this is one of the reasons that I'm here, because the history of what the Denver Broncos have meant to the National Football League is so important. So here we go. It's going to be a really exciting year, and I think you're right, Eric. As the schedule loosens up and we start to get some of these games, I think that we're going to find a lot of national games in very key time slots.
The Broncos have graduated to Christmas night as opposed to waiting to potentially being flexed into Sunday night football.
Yeah.
They've been penned in, not penciled in. The league is expecting them to be not only competitive, but to be challenging the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's why specifically I believe that you have this game. So now they have one nationally televised game for sure. They will be in the only time slot for their game, overseas, although that's not really a national game. That's a really early start.
Yeah.
How many national games do you think they got? They already have one.
I'll bet you they're in line for 4.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Don't you think something like that?
Yeah.
I think something in that realm. I don't know where and when they will play. Well, I know where they're going to play, but when they're going to play the Washington Commanders. But that's Jalen Daniels and Bo Nix. That's a pretty attractive matchup. Two teams that were on the come a year ago. I like that storyline. So I think that you start to see some pretty obvious games that you can match up with some really good storylines. But Sean Payton is very comfortable with that. That's his expectation, that they're going to be in these types of games. That's his desire.
Right. All right. I want to take a hard right turn here.
Sure.
Dodgers manager Dave Roberts was asked about Bud Black being fired. This is what he said. I don't think Casey Stengel could change the outcome of that ball club. That's not the manager's fault. Now, not surprising that Roberts defended Black. And here's the reason why. Dave Roberts was a coach under Buddy Black in San Diego when Black was the manager. But I will tell you, I can't remember the last time a coach or a manager was fired. And then you have here, when Michael Malone got fired, you had a lot of coaches coming out and saying, maybe you should have showed him more respect, given him a chance to take him into the playoffs. Michael Malone's the greatest coach in the history of the Nuggets. But none of those coaches said, this team is so dysfunctional, nobody could coach them.
Right.
Low. But the fact that Dave Roberts said it, he said what everybody is thinking, what everybody knows, and quite frankly, even if he was stronger in saying that, who the hell is going to disagree?
It's a pretty good line. I got to admit that when I heard it this weekend, that I got a pretty good chuckle over it because I don't think anyone would disagree with him. No. I think even the fan base in Colorado that continues to show up, but they show up with the understanding that this just isn't a very good team. And the reason it's not a very good team is because it's not a very good organization. The Rockies have proven themselves relative to the National League West. They are not even an afterthought. They're more like a postscript. You've got these four teams. Oh yeah, and then Colorado's in the division as well. So I get it. And we chatted about this kind of briefly yesterday. I think it's an overwhelming job just to get back to relevance for this franchise.
Right now, this team is everybody's homecoming game.
Totally.
Chicago White Sox.
Yes. Yeah. It's like shadow boxing. You can never lose, right? I mean, so you never get hit. Or in the Rockies' case, you never get hits.
By the way, just to be fair about it, Chase Dollander had a no-hitter going into the 6th inning last night.
Mm-hmm.
And the Rockies still lost.
Yeah. They lose a 2-1 game because they can't move runners in scoring position, can't put it's one thing after the other. They lose a 2-1 game that's masterfully pitched. Then they lose a 13-9 game where, it's.
You know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. I know that I'm dating myself when I say this. So maybe this is really for you more so than anything else because we are in the same age bracket. Although for anybody under the age of 30 will not understand this. I understand it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Anybody over the age of 40 will likely get what I'm saying. Alex, why don't you come into the screen here?
I'm here.
Alex is our fine producer. So you tell me whose quote this is. Now, I'm not going to get the dialect or accent right, okay? Ready?
I'm ready.
Who said this? I tell you, it's always something. If it's not one thing, it's another. That's just the way it is. Who said that phrase? Exactly.
I don't
Rosanna,
Dana. Yep.
Rosanna. If it's not one thing, it's another. They had a little sweat ball sitting right there on the top of her nose. And that was the skit on Weekend Update with Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin with Rosanna Dana. If it's not one thing, it's another.
Yeah.
And they are the Rosanna Dana of Major League Baseball.
Tough when you get. I mean, you watch a guy like Dollander last night, and you think, "Damn, this is pretty good." And then you realize that that's the one guy that can go out and do it. I mean, they really don't have anyone else like that. With respect to Kyle Freeland and Herman Marquez, who actually did look pretty good in his last outing, but he's 1-6 now. So
here's the real trying to look over the horizon line type of look at this team. Dollander, he might be a player. Let's wait to see what happens when Tovar gets back and they get other players back. But it's still not enough to fill out a lineup.
No.
With that, I believe the last team that lost over 100 games 3 years in a row were the Houston Astros.
Yeah.
And then they started banging the drum, no pun intended.
Yes.
And became one of the best teams in baseball.
Right.
But they had a plan. And their plan was to tank, to trade away their best players and get great draft picks. The Rockies don't have that plan because they don't trade with anybody. Nobody really wants their prospects. They don't bring in free agents. At least if they had that type of plan, it would be understandable. But the Rockies are facing 3 straight 100-loss seasons. This one will likely be historic. And you really wonder, it could very easily be 4 in a row, 5 in a row, 6 in a row.
Yeah.
I think isn't their
Yeah.
AAA team the worst in AAA?
Yes.
Not that it
And
really matters.
their farm system is really kind of bereft of talent. So
Right.
I mean, they are in a tough situation right
Not
now.
in a tough situation. They are in
A self-made situation.
They made a bed that was infested with fleas and cockroaches and termites. As they were pulling the sheets over the mattress, they saw all that stuff in there and still tucked in the sheets, okay, and said, I'm going to go to bed here tonight.
Yeah.
They knew
And you talked about free agency. Even when they do free agency, they bring in a Chris Bryant who's well past his prime, with indications of injury issues, and you pay him a king's ransom when everybody watching the deal is wondering what in the heck the Rockies are thinking about.
Bruce, I have something for you. Okay. Tom Verducci from Sports Illustrated wrote a terrific article yesterday about the Rockies and really laying it out for anybody who doesn't follow the Colorado Rockies, how they don't make any moves at the trade deadline. And if they do, they're so minor, they're insignificant. Really, they're giving stuff away. The hot stove league, the Rockies might as well be sitting in an igloo. They don't want to give away their own players. But here was the thing that really stuck out to me. Well, this was another line which was so accurate. For a team that so desperately needs an analytics department like the Tampa Bay Rays, they have the smallest one in the majors. That's by choice. But the other thing that he brought up was they don't have a Far East scout. Now, I was talking about that with somebody yesterday who, by the way, happened to be one of the guys scouting this particular player. Scouts from all over Major League Baseball many years ago were scouting Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
Now, remember, you would get him for the league minimum. You would get him for the league minimum. What he's getting paid now and what he got paid to come into the majors is totally different.
Totally.
So the person who I talked to, who was there fully scouting Shohei Ohtani, told me the Rockies did not have a scout there.
Well, and when you stop to consider how target rich that environment is,
all you have to do, listen, you're
not just Shohei Ohtani,
guys,
my God.
Listen, when you are Far East scouting, you are generally speaking scouting guys who are 26, 27, 28 years old.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. They're later into their career.
Think Ichiro.
Right.
Yeah. He's been a multiple MVP in Japan, and he's ready to come and go get 3,000 hits in the big leagues. So
when Dick Monfort is called cheap, do I think he's cheap with his payroll? Listen, it's at $120 million. Is it near the top? No. But at the top is just so outrageously high.
Right.
But should they spend more on scouting, having a Far East scout, having more scouts in Latin America? Yeah, that is cheap, and that is stupid.
There are so many basic foundational questions and concerns about the Rockies right now that, to your point, you're right. The Astros, we all knew the Astros had a plan, and they were enacting that plan right in front of our faces.
Right.
They were taking it, but they were adding pieces. Guys that, when you're adding Bregman and Altuve and guys like that become, just Springer, et cetera, the list goes on and on. You're setting yourself up for something that they're still enjoying. They are not only a relevant team, they are a contender.
The Marlins did that a couple decades ago.
Yeah.
And then they traded away all their good players, rebuilt, and what do? They won another World Series, right?
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. A friend of ours, Dan O'Dowd, I saw a piece with him this weekend or at some point where he was saying he wishes, or he probably, if he had it to do over again, he would have looked at the model that the Tampa Bay Rays a little bit more closely. He didn't totally, acquiesce to Tampa Bay Rays, but he talked about at the time it would have looked probably a little bit more at the model that they were laying out. Because it's been a very successful competitive model.
I always find it amusing on social media when somebody who works for a major newspaper or a TV station, where they're expecting that those people to break stories and they don't get the story first. And then they put out on social media, I can confirm through sources that this story is true. I mean, that is for an audience of one, your boss. Boss, I missed the story. I didn't break the story, but I want you to know that I confirmed the story that I missed. Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to do the same thing with you. I can confirm everything that Dan O'Dowd said, whether you were quoting him or paraphrasing him. Would you like to know how I can confirm this? Because he told me that on the phone.
Right.
The same thing.
Yeah.
Dan O'Dowd is my source on his own quote that you heard him say or write.
Pretty good stuff, isn't it? Yeah.
Listen, Dan knows how difficult it is to build a team here. He's told me as such.
Right.
I don't think he thought it was going to be as difficult when he came here. But now that he's way out the door with MLB Network, he understands the challenges of what it's like to build a team here.
Yeah.
And it really is difficult. So for Rockies fans who want to pile on the Rockies, and rightfully so, onto Dick Monfort, onto Bill Schmidt, I mean, the Rockies firing Bud Black is like being told you have lung cancer. Instead of cutting you open, they put you in the operating table and they chop off your leg.
Misguided.
Completely. Well, at least you had a surgery. Just the wrong one.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for us. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. We'll see you tomorrow.